Hey everybody, how are you this week? So I am coming at you live from Facebook. This is Ask the Therapist. Each and every week on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I come to you live answering your questions, bringing to you a presence online to let you know that you are not alone. So this evening, we do have a handful of questions that I've already received across the week, which I'm so excited about. I appreciate that. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Tim and Tara and Margie and Debbie. It's great to see you, and Sherry. Everybody's jumping on. I am excited. It's great to see everybody. So we do have some questions, but remember, as always, if you have a question, you have multiple ways that you can share your question with me. You can send me a direct message on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email me at christy@christyknights.com. Or, of course, if you do know me personally, you're welcome to send a text message as well. I will be checking my phone. So, hey, Sue, it's great to see you. And Nicole and Jen, thank you so much for joining tonight. I love that I share this 1 hour a week with you. It has been so much fun. I have to tell you, I really look forward to our time together, and I'm so appreciative that you're willing to come into this space with me and be vulnerable and real. You know, so often in life, it's difficult to find someone who will tell you like it is, be honest with you, who can really just get to the heart of the issue without all the BS. You know, people want to say things that make us happy or tap dance around issues, or perhaps they're not authentic. Hey, Jennifer and Tom, it's great to see you. But what is guaranteed every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is I come to you very real, very raw, very honest, and I tell you like it is. I'm not afraid to do that, and I think that's important. One, I don't want to waste your time. And two, it's so important to be authentic to me. And I surround myself with people who are highly authentic. And I want you to do the same. It is great to see you, Marcy, and Shonda, Crystal, Diane, Craig. Thank you so much for joining tonight. It is great to see you. Everybody's just starting to hop on, and I'm just sharing the importance of authenticity and how important it is to be authentic. And that is what I promise to you. I deliver to you, true information from a therapist perspective. I tell it like it is, because life is difficult. We have big questions. Not all of us have time to go see a therapist. Not all of us are able to, whether it's a financial resource or perhaps you're just afraid or unsure of what happens in therapy. Now I come to you 1 hour every week at no cost to you, because I love to serve you. Hey, Valerie and Sharon, Lisa, Denny, Mark, it is great to see everybody out here. Do me a favor. I want you all to share it out. I want you to share out this live video. I want your friends and family to know that there is a place that they can come to really ask life's biggest questions and to really have an honest opinion about difficult times in life. So go ahead, share this out. I want everyone to know it's a resource. Hey, Ivan and Nick, it's great to see you. Behind Nick, if that's Kay, how are you? Shelly, I am so excited to be a part of Inspiring Lives magazine again. I was a writer for some time and stepped away from it as I formed my own nonprofit. And now I really feel called to write for Inspiring Lives magazine with Shelly Hifsky. It's an incredible magazine full of inspiration, and I'm looking forward to sharing my love, to serving the community through print, through this magazine. So thank you for that opportunity, Shelly. And hey, Kathleen, it's great to see you as well. So remember, as always, ask your questions. Send me love. Send me thumbs up. I want to know that you're there. Sometimes I feel like, if I'm talking to nobody out there, it gets kind of lonely. But I want you to please ask questions and share this out, okay? So everybody needs to be sharing this out. We want everybody to have this opportunity to get free therapy, right? We want everybody to have free therapy. So share it out. Hey, Kathleen, thank you so much for your question. And Tom, it is great to see you in this space. So Kathleen says, how do you know the difference between a rough day or an imbalance and the need for a medicine change? This is a great question, Kathleen. Thank you so much. So how do we know the difference when we're just having a really rough day, or perhaps there's an imbalance and we need a change in our medication? For those who are on medication, whether that is for anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, any of that on the spectrum, will be taking or may choose to take medication. So how do we know? Typically, the way we can tell, Kathleen, hey, Sherry and Angela, the way we can tell if it's a chemical imbalance versus a bad day is if there isn't a break in it. So we'll see excessive tears or perhaps inability to get out of bed. It affects the body physically to a place where you're not able to function when there's a chemical imbalance. Now, I'm obviously not speaking as a doctor. I'm speaking as a therapist with my experience. But whenever we look at, someone who is anxious about an event, that passes. Someone who is debilitated by anxiety and may need a medication change, that level of intensity of anxiety, it doesn't change. So we see that persistent, chronic, long-term. And when I say long-term, especially if someone's on medication, let's not waste a lot of time. If it goes beyond a week and they're just not functioning as they normally do, then we know that there's a change needed in the medication. It's not just a bad day or circumstances. Hey, Chris, it's great to see you. Mario, great to see you. And Heather, thank you so much for joining Ask the Therapist Live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. where you get your answers to life's biggest questions. So Kathleen, I hope that's helpful. If it's chronic long-term, it's definitely a chemical imbalance. If it is short-term circumstantial, then it's just a rough day. I hope that helps. So how is everybody doing? How was your week? Were you able to truly just find a way to bring it in, focus on what matters most to you this week? Or was it chaotic and crazy? I can share with you that I felt like my head was in the clouds this week. Like I was being pulled every different direction, whether it was in my private practice serving clients clinically or in my nonprofit. We were doing so many great things with my nonprofit, or serving other people and their nonprofits, such with sitting with Shelley this week and being able to share in that, with the Global Sisterhood and the gala coming up, so I really felt like I was pulled in multiple directions, and I needed to refocus, to recenter. So how do you refocus and recenter when you're overwhelmed? What do you do? What's helpful to you whenever it feels like everything's going on around you and life doesn't stop? Tom, thank you very much. I am very, very passionate about helping people and serving people. I feel very called to do it. So yeah, like I am on fire in this space. It's where my gifts shine. So thank you for recognizing that, Tom. Hey, Brad, great to see you. And Shirley, thank you so much for joining us. Craig, it is great to see you. So let me share your question. But before I do that, Craig, thank you. What I want to say in terms of us recentering, refocusing, what do you do to recenter, refocus? Here's what I do. I will take time to meditate, sit down, even if it's just 10 minutes, to take a few deep breaths, listen to quiet music, or just quiet the room to recenter. So meditation, or I'll spend time in prayer. Exercise helps me. Music is highly powerful. When I feel overwhelmed, I like to listen to music. So there are great ways to do that. Let me hear your ways, right? Share with me your ways. How do you recenter, refocus? Hey, Debbie, great to see you. And Karen and Justin. So Craig says, if you're thinking about killing yourself, what way do you think would be most easier? Craig, I really appreciate your vulnerability and your being here on Facebook with us. Unfortunately, my goal really is to save lives. It isn't to help with the ending of lives. So Craig, I would love to be able to spend more time with you and talk with you in the back end of Facebook, where we could talk about how I can support you whenever you're having those thoughts. You know, it isn't my desire to assist in that in any way, but instead, Craig, to say thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability and being real and being honest with your thoughts. It's tough to do. You know, but Craig, if you're struggling with those thoughts, there is a suicide hotline, and we'll give you that number. Sue, if you don't mind, Sue, if you could look up that suicide hotline number and post it on here, please. That would be great, Sue, and I will answer your question. There's a hotline you can call, Craig. You can go around the back door on Facebook and start talking to me, direct message, and I'll help you walk through those thoughts if you are thinking about that. Thank you so much, Sue. I really appreciate that. Just in case anybody needs the 1-800-SUICIDE hotline, Sue is going to post it for us. And again, Craig, I thank you for being here and being in my space. I appreciate you. So Sue shares, hi, Ian. It's great to see you. And Debbie, I was wondering if the night terrors I suffered from as a young child and the fact that my parents didn't acknowledge how horrifying they were for me could have been the start of my trauma and PTSD. To this day, I won't hang my hand or arm over the edge of the bed and have terrifying dreams when I'm stressed out. Yeah, absolutely, Sue. That is definitely part of the PTSD. And, you know, to your point that it wasn't acknowledged, you know, the acknowledgement of that trauma is very important. You're absolutely right. When we acknowledge trauma, that begins the process of healing. The lack of validation in that trauma can indicate to a child that it's not safe to share. And when a child feels it's not safe to share, then you begin to process it in a negative light, in a negative manner. And instead of working through it, you internalize it. So the nightmares are persistent and continue through, even into your adult world. So what could have been different? You know, what would have changed that? Well, of course, that acknowledgement, that validation. But what do you do now? That's really the most important question. The most important question is working through that. So beginning to almost test the consequences, right? So if you are in therapy, processing that with your therapist, or seeking out EMDR therapy for trauma. EMDR therapy is a form of tapping, and it addresses trauma immediately and begins to resolve it in a fraction of the time compared to talk therapy. The other exercise I would recommend is, now you're an adult, Sue, you're able to rationalize that it's safe to hang your hand over the edge of the bed. It's safe to do that. So being able to test that consequence, see that when you do it, it's okay. You're retraining the brain. You're directing the brain and changing that brain path of trauma. So whenever you do have those thoughts, instead of it creating fear and anxiety, you're going to sit in the negative emotion, reassure yourself that you are safe, that it is okay, that you are not back in the trauma. And that will begin to rewire that thought process so it's not a fear any longer. So here's an example, Sue. There was a traumatic event that happened to me as a child in my teenage years. There was some stalking that occurred, and it affected me long term. It wasn't until recently, and when I say recently, last 7 to 10 years probably, that I didn't stop checking behind doors, right? Or looking over my shoulder when I'm out. How I began to combat that is by rational thought, reminding myself when I'm out that I'm okay, I'm safe. So I want to challenge you to do the same thing, and that'll begin to dissipate in conjunction with therapy. I hope that answers your question, Sue. If you need more clarification, just let me know. Thank you, Sue, very much for the hotline number. I appreciate that. Thank you. So Sue did post the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number. If you do decide to Google it, you can also text them. So it's a great reference. If anybody is struggling with suicidal thoughts or having those thoughts, you have options. You can certainly dial the number, or you can direct message me around the back of Facebook after this is over, and I will walk you through those thoughts and help you move past them. There is hope, and you are never alone. Yvonne, it's great to see you, and Lisa, Amy, Christian, Lee, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. So, and Jay is here, and Sherry. Okay. So Yvonne says, my mom took immediate action when I shared my concern as a 5-year-old. Totally validated my intuition as a very young human. So blessed. I did not have to internalize those fears. There has been other issues that situation creating, but wow, you're absolutely right, Yvonne. Thank you so much for sharing that and for being vulnerable. Yes, so you can see your proof that whenever that's validated, it really begins to resolve those fears within. You feel valued in the moment. And so your brain is able to then begin to heal and rationalize that you are safe. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for sharing that. That's a great example. Sherry says, I've been struggling with racing suicidal thoughts and I'm wondering if maybe it's time for a medication change. This can be the case too. This is a great point, Sherry. Thank you so much for bringing this up and for being vulnerable. You are among an amazing tribe. If you look at the names, and I say this every week, if you look at the names of the people who show up here, these are real, vulnerable people who are authentic, and they are your tribe. So embrace each and every one of them. Yes, you bring up a great point. So when the suicidal thoughts continue, and even though if you are in therapy or attempting to use skills and they don't work, and they are chronic, pervasive, suicidal thoughts that are intrusive. Does that make sense? Intrusive. We can't stop them. They're constant. Is there a need for a medication change? Absolutely. There are medications that address suicidal ideation and having the obsessive thoughts. It's a lot of work to battle that. You don't have to do it on your own just with cognitive skills. There is medication, or the flip side of that, which I think is really important, there are certain medications that are prescribed to people who may struggle with anxiety, depression, that actually have the side effect of suicidal thoughts. Crazy. Blows my mind. As we formulate this and we're treating anxiety, depression, someone who is suicidal, we're going to possibly expose you to more suicidal thoughts. Blows my mind. But that's something to be aware of. One of the very common drugs that we see that with, that has the reputation for that, is Prozac. Now, just because it has the reputation doesn't mean it's going to do it. It's different for everybody. But yes, Sherry, if those thoughts are continuing without stopping, you're using any skills that you may have learned, then yes, a medication change may be necessary. So what a great question. I hope that helped. If you need more clarification, let me know. Let's see if we have any more questions going on. Hey, Desha, Patrick, Ronald, Jody, Yvonne. Yvonne, I believe you would be a great guest for my friend's podcast. Thank you so much. I would be more than happy to serve in that way. Thank you. I love podcasts, and that's a great point. I just launched mine. So I'm glad you brought that up. I launched Unsung Heroes Live podcast, and it was accepted and approved for iTunes 2 days ago. I was so excited. So what this podcast is this podcast is people just like you. And if you want to be on my podcast, please reach out to me. If you are willing to talk to me about anxiety, depression, the struggles that you've had, and how far you have come, please reach out to me. I will interview you on my podcast, and we will talk about what a hero you are and how you overcame it and the positive results you've seen as the stumbling blocks, the people that have helped you. We will highlight you as a hero on my podcast. So if you're interested in my podcast, head over to iTunes. It's called Unsung Heroes Live. You will hear experts and those who have struggled with emotional and mental health issues and where they're at today. It is free. So download that baby and share it out, because someone just may need to hear that they're not alone. So, Sue, can saying positive affirmations and meditating before I go to sleep help rewrite the brain as well? Absolutely. That is a great point. What you do before bed determines how you sleep. Did you hear me? What you do before bed determines how you sleep. So what is your bedtime routine? How do you care for yourself at night? But when there is PTSD, you can literally rewrite the cognitive path by changing your behaviors. So that may look like journaling, meditation, positive affirmations, positive music, or thinking of a scenario that makes you feel good and safe, like a staycation in your head, essentially, like you're picturing your vacation. So great point, Sue. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yvonne. I am so excited about the podcast. I have to tell you, here's how it came about. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, both clients and people who are not clients, have said to me, look, all of these people who walk the red carpet and do great things and, make all this money, they're highlighted. They've got their name in the lights and, they do all these great things. And well, what about us? What about us who fight every day just to get through the day? How does that not matter? Or perhaps the PTA mom that goes above and beyond expectations. How do we give her credit? Or the man who shovels the neighbor's driveway. You think those are simple things, but see, those are life-changing, kind acts that teach people that they have value, that let someone know they're cared about and they're not alone. So that's how I developed the podcast Unsung Heroes. Because see, you, each and every one of you that are here tonight, you're my hero. I don't even idolize anybody famous. That's not who I am. What I idolize is everyday people like you who work through life's tragedies and challenges, and here you are giving back, wanting to give back and live each day to bring joy. So that to me is a hero. And Unsung Heroes podcast just captures the essence of a person's heart and soul with intimate conversations about real life situations that each and every person relates to, whether you're a celebrity or you're not. See, it's those people that are a hero to me. So yes, I am so beyond excited about this podcast and being able to highlight heroes. In fact, Sue was one of our heroes and her story is incredible. I can't wait to release it. So watch for Sue. Now that you know Sue's part of your tribe, watch for Sue's podcast to be released. And again, if you want to be interviewed, don't hesitate. Go to my website and click that you want to be interviewed, and I will interview you. Hey, Kathleen and Jean. Oh, thank you so much for sharing Yvonne the podcast. Yes, everyone, check out that podcast, and then I want you to share it out too. Okay, we want to help as many people as we can, right? I am just one person. Just one person. But see, collectively as a group, we can truly make a difference by kind acts each and every day. So Yvonne, thank you so much for sharing that support podcast. And we want everybody to share it out. Oh, that's fine. That is so funny. Yvonne, I thought you were sharing your friend's podcast. You're sharing my podcast. Okay, so Yvonne, if you have your friend's podcast, share it out too. Oh, a little embarrassed. I didn't realize you were sharing mine. Thank you so much, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Other questions? Thank you, Lisa. So when we think about where we are in life and how we can begin to feel good each and every day, some things that we can do are meditation, eating well, sleeping, absolutely. But as you're thinking of questions, and I'm checking for questions, as you're thinking of questions, the key to happy living, the absolute key to happy living is giving back. It's that simple. It's just giving back. It's not science. Thank goodness it's not math. It's just giving back. How can you give back? Something easy, right? This is my way of giving back. It works. It makes me feel alive inside to sit and serve you and help you live a fuller life. Maybe it's a smile or a meal. But let me tell you, there is research, there is evidence that when we give back and we serve other people, that we heal from the inside out and feel value. Feel value. That's right, Sue. We refill our tanks by serving other people. It works, and there's evidence to prove it. There's science behind it. You will truly heal from whatever ails you emotionally as you serve other people. And I'm more than happy to walk that with you on our weekly sessions as we share space. Okay, so a question that came in this week is, my son is headed down the wrong path. What can I do? Wow. My son is headed down the wrong path. What can I do? How often as parents do we worry, stress? Where are our children going? How will they end up? Will they be contributing members of society? You know, as a mom of 3 teenagers, I'm terrified sometimes. Absolutely terrified. I worry, where will my children be? Am I guiding them to be amazing people? I'm sure we can all raise our hands that we worry about our kids. And then when we are seeing that our child is going down the wrong path, we panic. Many parents shut down, turn their head, avoid. They don't want to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it. So they act as if they don't see it. Or perhaps they become angry, enraged, condescending. Their fear has gotten the best of them. So instead of truly connecting with their child to work through it, they further isolate the child with their anger, disappointment, shame. See, we don't know what this question was intending in terms of the wrong path, but when I think of the wrong path for my children, I think of a few things. I think of them leaving their morals and values, not adhering to their core values, making very poor decisions that jeopardize their future, whether that's drinking alcohol underage, whether it's drugs, or perhaps it's sex. You know, these are the areas of concern that I have as a parent of a teenage child when I think of, gosh, what if my child went down the wrong path? For you, it may be different, but the question is, what do we do now? What you do is you be real. You be honest. You teach that child that despite the choice they made, they are so loved and valued, no matter what. I have told my children time and again, I don't care what you do. You will always be my child. I will always love you unconditionally. I may be unhappy with your choice, but I will always love you. And there isn't anything that we can't work through. Absolutely anything. So I want you to look at your child who has made this negative choice and show them love. It is through love and stern guidance that you teach them that they are valued, cared for, so they will make a different decision. It's not easy, but I can tell you, parents who are extremely strict and stern versus doing nothing are ineffective parenting. We want in the middle a balance of love and discipline. So your child makes a poor choice and you find out, you say to them, dude, like, I get it. Like, it's tough out there. You made the wrong choice. Talk through your value system that you've taught them and how to identify that it was a wrong choice, right? Make sure they're safe. And then you punish. You can't avoid the punishment part. We can talk all we want, but there has to be a consequence. What I think of is if my child was caught doing this act in public by a police officer, what would the ramifications be, right? What would the ramifications be? So oftentimes it's a fine, a court date, community service, right? So now our child isn't caught by a police officer, and we're grateful for that, but they do need to talk with you. That's their court hearing. Understand the consequences of their choice. Be accountable. The number one mistake that parents are making is you don't make your child accountable for their behavior, right? I need you to teach your child to own it. Own the mistake. You model that as a parent. Model owning your mistakes. So that first part is really having your child be accountable for their actions and what they did. They need to own it. Second, community service is really important for multiple reasons. When a child makes a poor choice, it comes from a selfish place or it comes from a place of pain. Not often do teenagers say, screw you, I'm going to do whatever I want for no reason. There is a reason, right? So community service is important. What does that look like in the home? That's giving back at some level in the home. That may be something simple, like doing the dishes for a week, or cleaning a car, or yard work. So they do the community service, right? And then finally, oftentimes there's a fine. So you can choose, does your child work? If your child works, they need to pay back. If they stole your alcohol and drank it, they need to replace the cost of the alcohol. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, get it out of the house or lock it up. Don't leave it out again. But they need to replace the cost of the alcohol, right? Because they stole from you. So with love, we're going to talk with them and understand where they're coming from. We're going to issue a consequence, and we're going to follow it up with love. Now, many parents, I can't get comfortable in this chair tonight. My husband's going to build my office chair. My daughter took it. Many parents, parents will say to me, but they flat out refuse. He refuses to do the dishes. He refuses to do this. He refuses to do that, or she refuses to do this. What do I do when a child absolutely flat out refuses? Now we're going to come down a little harder, right? You're going to sanction therapy. Therapy is required now. You're required to go to therapy, and you're going to set a time limit. You're going to say, you're required to go to 10 sessions. Once you complete 10 sessions, then you get to earn back this privilege. See, until your child learns the skills of life, they're going to continue to make the same mistakes. So perhaps, and in my case, if my kids give me a hard time, it's always, okay, depending on the severity, you're going to go back into therapy. I want your butt in church every Sunday, right? I want their core values to be reinforced, and I want you to give back to the community, and I want you to come to me and talk about this. Let's figure out why. Why? So that's a long answer, but I know parenting is a hot topic that a lot of us like to talk about. Disciplining children can be challenging. And again, we're talking about the average kid with average issues. I'm not talking about someone who may have, a severe mental health issue. That's completely different, and it would be handled differently. But those of us who have, for the most part, not real complicated kids, and we're not at the point of absolute destructive behavior, conduct disorder, kind of stealing, setting things on fire kind of kids, then we want to handle it with discipline and love. And what I'm hitting home is accountability and love. I want you to teach your child to be accountable, and then I want you to wrap your arms around them and love them, value them. Do not shame them. It's a waste of time. and you're making it worse. Okay. Hey, Julie, Miko, Jean, Louie, it's great to see you. Sherry. Sherry says, as I struggle with racing thoughts, there are times I struggle to stay safe. When would you recommend hospitalization? So this is a great question. If you're having suicidal thoughts, when would you recommend hospitalization? Well, I think that answering it on Facebook Live is really good. It's a great question, but I want to be very careful too, because those people who are not in treatment, if you're not receiving counseling, then knowing when to go to the hospital is when you think you should. If there's a moment where you think you should, go. But you can call the hotline. The hotline does a screening, and they can also help you figure out if you need to go to the hospital. But in my opinion, if you are not under the care of a therapist and you're having suicidal thoughts, I want you to get help and support right away. If you think to yourself, should I go to the hospital because I have suicidal thoughts? Be safe, go. That's what it's there for. Now, I'll be the first to tell you as a clinician that I think going to the hospital can be incredibly traumatizing if it's not in the right setting and if it's not something that you truly needed, okay? But I don't want you to hesitate. So go or get assessed. Call the 800 number. If you have a therapist, call your therapist. Reach out to your therapist. They can help you determine if you need to go to a hospital. So I hope that that's helpful for you. Hey, Joe and Anthony, Ruth, Karen, Mick, Jen, Michael. It is great to see everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So as always, every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ask the Therapist, where you get to ask me any question about life's biggest challenge, and I answer them for you here live. I know it can be difficult to get to a therapist's office, or perhaps you can't afford one or don't know who to go to. This gives you 1 hour every week where you can, at no cost, sit in the space of amazing people, check out your tribe, and ask your questions. Ask what is going on that I can help you with. So it could be anything from parenting to relationships, marriage, career, sex, religion, whatever you need. Just ask. I can answer your question. If I can't answer it, I'll find the answer for you and send you a direct message. So do you have other questions? Anybody have other questions? Sherry, I'm so glad that was helpful. You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry, for being here, for allowing me to be a part of your life for 1 hour each week. Just fills my heart to be in this space with this incredible tribe. So another event for those who are local, who know me, and who live within the Pittsburgh area. My nonprofit is offering the screening of Suicide: The Ripple Effect with Kevin Hines. I have to sell 43 tickets in order to bring it to our theater. If you haven't seen the trailer, look it up. It's called Suicide: The Ripple Effect. You can see the trailer on YouTube. I want to bring it to our community. I want to share with our community that they are never alone. So if you're local, join me April 20th at 7 p.m. at the Moraine Point Plaza Theater, so we can share in that movie together. I'm going to have a question and answer session afterwards. If you don't know who Kevin Hines is, check it out. He is this incredible, inspirational man. He actually jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in an attempt to die, and he survived. He was given a second chance. Oh my gosh, is that not amazing? So many people jump off that bridge and die every year. There's only very few that have survived, and Kevin was one of them. And he created a documentary to really learn to stamp out that stigma on suicide. And I want to bring it to our community. And I want to see you there with me. Come meet me, say hello. Let's sit together and watch this movie and talk about how we can make a difference and how we can save lives. So that is April 20th. I want you there. Even if you're out of town, come in. Sherry, you come into Pittsburgh all the time. Come in, see me, girlfriend, and come to the movie. I would love to see you there. So And right now, I want you to go ahead and share this out again. If you don't mind, please share this out. We want everybody to know that every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ask the Therapist. Other questions? Hey, Jess, great to see you. Thank you so much. All right, so Jess says, my husband and I lost a daughter 9 years ago at 2 months old. I am so sorry, Jess. We've had 2 children since then, and sometimes anxious in certain situations, for example, when they get sick. Not because there's necessarily a serious problem, but it could be something simple as a cold, but because of the daughter we lost. I don't feel for the most part it interferes with my everyday life, but sometimes I wonder if it's a form of PTSD. So Jess, thank you so much for your question, and thank you for being in the space and being vulnerable to share your question, because there is someone else out there, Jess, that with your courage doesn't feel alone. So thank you for your question. And what Jess is asking is her and her husband lost a child, a daughter, at 2 months old. Jess, if you don't mind sharing her name, just her first name, that would be great. I think it's so important to honor babies who have been lost to death by their name. I think that that's important. So Jess, yes, that is a PTSD symptom. Absolutely. What you and your husband experienced was incredibly traumatic. To lose a baby at 2 months old is devastating. And I am so sorry that happened. As a result, you are going to have residual trauma. There are going to be things that will trigger you to have that fear, especially with your own children. I am so happy to hear it doesn't affect the functioning of your life every day. I'm glad to hear that. But do recognize that when that happens, that yes, that's a result of the trauma. So now what do you do? Having that information, what do? You have a couple options, Jess. You can certainly seek out therapy if you feel it's useful and you would like to do that. It would take just a few sessions. And I would definitely recommend a therapist that had credentials in EMDR. EMDR is for trauma and will help you move through the trauma without re-traumatizing you. It moves it from the back of the brain to the front in a safe way, in a safe environment, in just a few sessions is all you need to work through it. So that's an option. Another option, Jess, is that whenever you begin to have those feelings and you realize you're experiencing that trigger, that's what we call it, a trigger, rationalize the thought. And I believe that's probably what you're doing now. Otherwise, it would be affecting your life. But you're able to rationalize and say, okay, it's just a cold. We're going to be okay. Whenever you rationalize it, you're retraining the brain again. So those are 2 very effective ways to deal with the PTSD as a result of the loss of your daughter. Hey, Jason and Trisha, and Dr. Frank, Jasmine, and Jess. Okay. Thank you for sharing her name, Jess Connier. I probably am not pronouncing it correctly, not doing it justice, but it's absolutely beautiful. I love that name, Connier. Thank you. We are so sorry for your loss. Hey, Jean, thank you so much. Prayers, yes. See, what you'll see, Jess, is that this is an amazing tribe, and there are people who have experienced what you have right in this space, and they will surround you with love and hope, and whenever times are tough, these are great people right here. So thank you for your vulnerability. I appreciate it. And if you need any further information, Jess, don't hesitate to reach out to me through a direct message, and I can share resources for you. Thank you very much. Hey, Heike, it's great to see you. Any other questions? Okay. It is 9:17. We usually go for about an hour or until there are no more questions. I want to again, thank you so much for being here, for sharing space with me every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I offer a wealth of services, as some of you do know, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to promote my business. I am here to serve you. I'm here to offer 1 hour of support to you. The only thing I'll promote is my nonprofit, because suicide awareness and prevention is my passion. It's where I light up. So April 20th is the movie. The other thing that we're launching, which may be helpful to you in our community, is we are launching Pivot. Pivot is a teen suicide support group. We're launching it in May. For those of you who are local, you'll be able to attend a meeting inviting you to this meeting in May so you can understand what Pivot is in our community and how it'll serve our children in our community. So Pivot, the teen support group, will launch in May. There are no cost to anyone. We are going to have sponsors, so there won't be any cost to the children, but we want lots of teens to come who've been affected by suicide. If they're having thoughts, or they've lost someone, or they're just sad, depressed over being affected by suicide, we want them in this group. I will be there speaking along with other clinicians. So yeah, like Pivot is going to be huge. And our goal is to plant Pivot in Cranberry Township. And then we're going to plant more Pivots across the state and then move across the country. Amazing, right? That's the goal. We want everybody to know that they're not alone, and there are safe places for people who have suicidal thoughts, and that you don't have to make that choice to be alone, but you can share space with someone. So that's what Pivot is, and I am so excited. You'll definitely hear more about Pivot. Hey, Daryl. You're welcome, Sherry, anytime. Hey, Kim, it's great to see you, and Kendra, great to see you too. So the next question, if you have any questions, be sure to direct message me on Facebook, Instagram, or go ahead and put them in the chat box here. I received a question from Instagram, and it says, my husband asked for a divorce. What are my options? My husband asked for a divorce. What are my options? First and foremost, I am so sorry. That is very difficult. I went through a divorce myself. It was a very painful time. So knowing your options is really important. I'm a collaborative divorce coach. For those of you who don't know what that is, I'll explain in a minute. But it's a neutral position within a divorce process. Why I share that with you is I believe in neutrality. I am not one of those people who are going to teach you how to stick it to your spouse, get revenge, leverage anger. I don't believe it's the best way for you, your spouse, and most importantly, it is not healthy for the children. The stick it to him or her attitude is self-destructive. You think it may work in court, but at the end of the day, you have to sleep at night. You have to look into your children's eyes with the choices that you made during your divorce. So I challenge each and every person to lead with integrity during a divorce. It's incredibly difficult. It's very painful. But no matter what, I want you to lead with integrity, because this is your legacy you're creating. So your husband asked for a divorce. What are your options? I'm speaking from the state of Pennsylvania. I will not be speaking about the law. I cannot speak on law. I'm not an attorney. Although I can tell you, I know a lot of great attorneys. So I can certainly point you in that direction if you're local. However, your options are 1, and I'm going to rank it from most expensive to least expensive, most traumatic to least traumatic. So number 1, litigation. Litigation is traditional divorce that most of us know about, all of us have heard of, where you litigate, you go into courts to settle your divorce. This requires an attorney for each of you, and you only communicate most often through an attorney, and everything's presented to a judge, in hearings to make decisions, okay? So that is the most expensive in most cases. Now, this isn't just a blanket statement. All my lawyer friends will be mad at me, but it's a general statement. In general, litigating is the most expensive form, yet it's the most common form. People go to it. Do you know why? Because nobody knows there's other options. That just irritates me. You don't have to litigate. There are options. And I will debunk this myth as well. Not all lawyers are bad people. Surprise! Not all lawyers are bad people. I know amazing lawyers with integrity who are not there to line their pockets. I can help you get connected. So first and foremost, litigation, most expensive, most often. You're in court with a judge. So you don't determine your own future, right? It's being determined by an attorney and the court system. Long, drawn out. You have up to a year. Your spouse can drag it up to a year. That law just changed in Pennsylvania. It used to be 2 years. Now it's 1 year, okay? But litigation, court, okay? 2 attorneys, most traditional. The second is collaborative divorce. After going through my own litigated divorce, which was very difficult and extremely expensive, I knew there had to be a better way. So I went searching for it. And I became trained as a collaborative divorce coach. Collaborative divorce is a kitchen table divorce. So it outside of court, right? You go into an agreement with an attorney for each person and 2 neutrals. We have a financial neutral and we have a coach, which is me. Right? I facilitate the meeting. I help with the emotional climate of the room. I make sure everybody stays in check and is respecting one another, that everybody has a voice. So collaborative divorce, you sit at a table with a team that is there to help you navigate the legal system. You sign an agreement saying that you will not go to court. You agree not to go to court. Talk about a sigh of relief. The anxiety melts away. You are now in control of your divorce. You are now in control of your future. This team wraps support right around you, from legal to financial to emotional. You can also bring in a child specialist if it's necessary, right? They're another neutral. And you sit and talk at a table and you work through the division of the assets. You work through the liabilities. You work through custody at a table. We're looking at, depending, not always, but 8 to 10 meetings. And perhaps you're saying to yourself, well, all of those professionals, surely it costs more, right? We're paying all these professionals because everybody needs paid. We're all providing a service. No. Our evidence and our research shows that a collaborative divorce is less expensive than a litigated divorce. Although you have so many professionals around the table working for you, they're working overtime for you. So it isn't about just showing up at court and documents, etc., but they're sitting as a team and we're working actively engaged to resolve and reach an agreement, right? So with the treatment team approach, it's much more successful and you save a ton of money. Stay out of court. Stay out of court. Nobody wants to be there. It's awful. That's how I did it. It was awful. Like nausea, vomiting, awful. So really, if you don't have to litigate, don't. So there's collaborative. Lastly, so I can finish answering this question, I got on a soapbox, is mediation. Mediation is the least expensive. Love mediation. I am a certified mediator. I did take training to be a mediator. So with a mediator, it isn't necessarily someone who is a lawyer. This doesn't mean you won't need a lawyer. You still need a lawyer for consultation purposes. And you will need a lawyer retained to execute the agreement to the courts. However, all of the details in between there are between a mediator and the couple. So I would be sitting with a couple, helping them negotiate how to divide assets, alimony, child support, who gets the house, what are the custody agreement. I would sit with them and talk to them and really hear them and teach them how to communicate effectively with one another. That's what I love about the mediation process. is you learn with a good mediator, you learn how to effectively communicate with your ex, because quite frankly, if you're sharing children, you have to learn how to co-parent. The only way to be healthy is to learn how to co-parent. So the collaborative divorce also helps with that. When you do collaborative, we also help teach you how to communicate. But mediation does it essentially one-on-one. And there's a lot less professionals, okay? I always bring in a financial neutral into my mediation. I think it is essential to bring in a financial neutral, because when you're divorcing, I want you to look at what are your finances today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and 25 years from now. You won't get that in litigation. Litigation is resolve it, done, right? Drag out court process. Collaborative, we're looking at budgets. Mediation, looking at budgets. The financial piece is essential. Please do not leave that stone unturned, even if the emotions are high, because a year from now, you're going to regret it. So there's your 3 options: litigation, collaborative divorce, mediation. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'm willing to give you as much detail as you'd like. On the second Saturday of every month, myself, an attorney, and a financial advisor, we meet in Gibsonia, and it is a free service to women where they can come and ask us unlimited questions at no cost. So the second Saturday, reach out to me. If you don't know about the second Saturday program, reach out and I can share it with you in the location, because they're all over the globe. So I can help you get connected. But it is for women, and it's so they can ask questions about finances, law, and therapy, emotional, right? About divorce. Unlimited questions at no cost. It's like a no-brainer. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Yes, Sue, please mention it. Yes. Hi, Cam. It's great to see you. Thank you for supporting me. That is my son. I absolutely love my son. Everybody say hi to Cam. Yes, Sue, please mention your service support group for suicide prevention support for police and fire EMS. She has a support group on Facebook that she's part of for all first responders, and it's amazing. Definitely useful. So please share that out. I love when we share resources with each other. That's what we're here for, right? To love and support each other right where we're at. We're collaborating. So Yvonne says, I understand that you aren't promoting your business, but your love, healing, and support should be no further than a click away. Aw, thank you so much. Thank you, Yvonne. Yes, On-Call Counseling is the most recent business I launched. I just launched that a few weeks ago. It's essentially having a therapist in your pocket. It's an app. You can definitely see it on the web too, but it's also an app, which is what I love. OnCallCounseling.com really meets you where you're at. So if you're having a panic attack or anxiety, you can click on, and I have a recording for you to walk through. There are lots of resources for every subject that you might have, life's biggest questions, whether it's grief and loss, depression, suicide, anxiety, bipolar disorder, borderline. I mean, we've got videos, podcasts. It's really packed into this great app, essentially. So thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Hey, Lisa, Crystal, it's great to see you. Hey, Crystal, are you coming to the gala? Are you coming down? I'm hoping to see you again. Global Sister Gala in a few weeks that I'm going to. I met Crystal there, so I hope you're coming. Hey, Jana, it's great to see you. Philip, Janine, Jody saying hi to Cam. Thank you very much. Jasmine, hey, it's great to see you. Everybody's saying hi to Cam. Thank you for saying hi to Cam. He's a great night. A great night. What the heck? He's a great guy. All right, there we go, Sue. Sue's got it. Code Green Campaign and Project Hope EMS on Facebook. Okay, if you are a first responder, we know how difficult your job is. We know how traumatic it can be. Sue, we want you to have the best support possible. We want you to be wrapped with love and respect. I truly believe in my heart you are the most underpaid people. I just can't even imagine. You're so underpaid. And it breaks my heart because you save lives. People who save lives should get paid more than, well, someone who plays football. I know. No one's going to like that. Anyways, Hey, Debbie, thank you for joining us. Have a good night too. So yes, code green. Any other questions? All right, Jody. So if it's an emergency, what should people do? So an emergency, Jody, in terms of suicidal thoughts, is that what you mean? You want to clarify what emergency means? If that's what you mean, then emergency in terms of getting support is you have a couple options. If you're having suicidal thoughts and you need to go to the hospital, you can dial 911. A police officer is equipped to be able to walk you through those steps, come and assess you. In Allegheny County, near me, we have Resolve. So Resolve will come out to your house. Some of your counties may have that. If you know it, list it. That's really helpful. Or you can call the suicide hotline and talk to them. It's a 1-800 number across the globe. So, anywhere the 1-800 number works, and they can help you through any emergency that you may have in relation to suicidal thoughts. Hey, Carrie, it's great to see you. Thank you so much. Carrie is a fellow therapist. And she is an amazing part of this tribe too. So definitely there to support and care for people. Thank you for joining, Carrie. It's great to see you. Yes, I do have a huge heart, Jean. I know. It's a double-edged sword, right? All right, any other questions? You bet, Jody. Any other questions? I love seeing Carrie smile. If you don't know Carrie, she's got one of the best smiles ever. Okay, I'm gonna check my messages to make sure before we end tonight. All right. Like I said, if you've got them, put in the chat room. If not, send them back to me. We're here every single Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live. All right. I don't see any on Facebook. Let's check out Instagram. Every once in a while, I get a question on Instagram, which I absolutely love. All right. None on Instagram. All right, so it looks like we've got everybody's questions. I'm gonna try scrolling again. Hey, Jordan, hello. It's great to see you, or hear you, Jordan. I don't see you or hear you, I guess. Hey, Jordan. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys are incredible. Thank you for being vulnerable and courageous. It is only through your courage that each and every person has the opportunity to grow and be the best person they can be. I cherish you, each and every one of you. Even if I don't know you personally, I love you. How is that possible? Because you are valuable. You have been created beautifully. I don't care what you have done, poor choices you have made, you have been created beautifully. And I am thankful for you. So no matter what you experience in life, please remember you are never alone. I am right here. I am just a click away, as Yvonne said. If you look up on my Facebook page, I've got multiple websites of ways that I can be reached to support you. Again, I'm not trying to bring in clients. That's not my goal here. My goal is to love you from this space. Sorry, makes me teary that I get to do this. I just feel so blessed to be able to be here with each one of you. Next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ask the Therapist. Life's biggest questions answered live because you are valued. Have an amazing week, everyone, and thank you so much for coming in.